Bristol Community College, Mathematics with Dan Avedikian, Math 131, Elements of College Mathematics, Section 2.2, Problem 27. This is Section 2.2, Problem 27. It says use row operations to change the 3 in the matrix below into a 0. And the matrix below has the top row of 1, -2, +2, 4. The middle row is 0, 4, -1, 5. And the bottom row is 3, 1, 6, 1. So the instructions ask us to turn the 3 in the bottom row into a 0. So the row operation will start with the row in which we want to make the 0. We want to make the 0 in row 3. So my equation must begin with row 3, because row 3 is the row where we want to make the 0. And the equation is going to go row 3 equals some stuff plus the old row 3. Whatever row your equation begins with, it must end with the same row. It begins with row 3, so it must end with row 3. Now, initially I just leave a spot and I say stuff. Not very mathematical. What is the stuff? The stuff is the row with the 1 in the same column, which would be row 1. And you're going to multiply that row with the 1 in the same column times the number you're zeroing, but opposite signs. So I'm zeroing a 3, so in my equation I have a 3. In the matrix I have a positive 3, so in my equation I must have the opposite, a negative 3. So the row operation I have to use is the new row 3 equals -3 times row 1 plus the old row 3. So let's actually do that row operation now. So to do that, row 1 will stay the same. 1, -2, +2, +4. Row 1 doesn't change. Row 2 doesn't change. 0, 4, -1, 5. Now, I'm making a new row 3. So -3 times row 1, when I multiply -3 times 1, that's going to make a -3. And I'm going to add to row 3. So -3 plus +3. -3 plus +3 is 0. And that's what we want. The directions say change it into a 0. So we got it. But you're going to have to change the other elements in row 3. What happens to the next position, which is currently a 1? Well, I'm going to do -3 times row 1, because that's what the equation says to do. -3 times -2 is +6, right? Pay attention to the signs. The negative times negative cancels. You have +6. You're going to add that result to row 3. +6 and +1 is +7, right? +6 and +1 is +7. The next position over right now is a 6. What will that change into, if anything? -3 times row 1, you're going to go -3 times +2. Again, pay attention to the signs. It's going to make a -6 when you multiply. And then add that -6 you get as a result to row 3. -6 plus +6. -6 plus +6 is 0. And finally, the last position, right now it's a 1. What happens with that? You're going to go -3 times row 1, -3 times +4. That's -12. Add that -12 to row 3, so you're going to go -12 and +1. -12 and +1 is -11, and that's the solution.